taller than I, but I'm louder than she is. We do call ourselves Double Trouble. I'm going to start by telling you about this. We did kayaking down the Rouge River. Rashida, I'm telling them the kayak story. She's ignoring me like she always does. And we wanted to see the progress that had been made on the Rouge River, and it was incredible. But first of all, people started taking bets on who would drown, who would fall out. We suddenly had helicopters following us down from the new, because they couldn't believe, they probably could believe she was kayaking. I think they couldn't believe I was kayaking. I did have my pearls on, I admit, but I had my shoes matching Rashida. And it was amazing to look at the Rouge River and how it had been transformed. And the herrings, and the plants, and the painted turtle. She got the picture of the painted turtle. But what we've done cleaning up our environment. And I want to go back to 55 years ago. And I am very worried. We have a responsibility to protect these lands for the generations to come and to ensure that they are going to be there. And I got a responsibility to deliver every single day, but I'm going to go back to the times. You know, everybody thinks that we got the Clean Water Act because of the Cleveland River. It was actually the Rouge River being on fire that got John Dingell to introduce the Clean Water Act and fight for it and get it passed. And the reality is, when he first introduced it, I found a national column, Drew Pearson, for anyone that's seasoned enough to remember him, that said that John Dingell and Edward Muskie were being demonized across the country for trying to clean up our water. And back then, people were worried about cost. And I found a downriver article, the mayors wouldn't want me to say this now, that said, John, this is going to cost us money. It's going to cost us lives if we don't clean our environment, period. And it was back in those years that they had to fight to get the Clean Water Act, the Endangered Species Act, the Clean Air Act, and so many other pieces of legislation. And it happened because people took to the streets and did Earth Day. And as was said earlier, it's why we have the EPA. But I want to say we cannot go backwards. We have a moral responsibility, to have clean water for every child and American to drink in this country. We can never have another Flint, ever have another Flint where our children were poisoned. And I'm proud of the fact that I introduced in the Energy and Commerce Committee, and it was part of the bipartisan infrastructure law, getting the lead out of every pipe in America so no American ever drinks poisoned water again. But you know what? That bill's been frozen. Those grants are frozen. Rashida and I worked together. You know, people's water was being cut off in this country, and yes, in this state. And Rashida came to me, and remember when COVID started, before we all even got locked in our homes? We were telling people the most important thing you can do is to wash your hands. And they also needed sanitary conditions to be able to drink clean, affordable water. And we were shutting off water to people's homes in this country. And Rashida and I got it in. I went to Nancy Pelosi and said, Nancy, people don't have access to clean water. She goes, that's wrong. And we got that done in the bipartisan infrastructure bill. And we also made sure that there was a water fund like LAHEAP, so if people couldn't afford water, they could have access to water, because we need water. Is a life-saving, life-impacting resource. Nobody can live without clean water. that, I'll talk about the Great Lakes. We've got NOAA and EPA that are being cut. The Great Lakes, I'm proud. I am co-chair of the Great Lakes Task Force. The Great Lakes are 20% of the fresh water in the world. We cannot not continue. I remember if I could escape, which I wish I could some days, I would still be what I did as a kid, which you would all kill. We're protecting for the babies and children here. We are here because we want to make sure that these lands are protected for you. But I grew up in the St. Clair River, and when I wanted to escape, I'd go out in the middle, in an inner tube, in the middle of the freighter channel, get in the waves, get on the buoy, wait for the next freighter. Yes, your parents would, I won't use the word that we would have done at the time. But I remember those waters. They were black. You couldn't eat the fish that you caught. We cleaned up those waters, and we haven't finished. People still cannot eat fish that has PFAS or mercury or other things in it. We have a responsibility to protect the clean water in the world. The NOAA lab is going to be impacted here. That's who watches out and does the testing for algae bloom. Who is going to watch out for tornadoes and weather events and all the other important work that we do? We have to protect people and make sure the money is there. Rashida was talking about, that's the water. I could talk about the water forever. But the air. Okay, the autos did fight clean air. They did fight standards. Now, a car sitting in the, driving down the street, I'm sorry, I got to do this right, or in the 94 at 80 miles an hour is cleaner than a car sitting in a driveway back in 1970. We have cleaned up the air. But companies are still, I was down, it's Rashida's district now, but we still go, as you can tell, we are double trouble. And I was in, I'll tell you where it was Saline School. And I got an asthma attack because the air was so dirty. And I had to go out and get my inhaler. Can you imagine what it's like to be a child sitting in that school trying to learn every single day, exposed to that kind of, those kind of contaminants and that? And do you know how much an inhaler is these days for a parent? It's several $100s that if they're working and struggling to meet ends meet, that takes a chunk of their budget that they can't afford. We've got to protect the air. Every person in this country has a right to breathe clean air. And I'm just going to also say we need to make sure the ground is clean. And, you know, this is also, we want to save people money. Really? Do you want to, okay, they don't like EVs. I get they don't like EVs. I don't get it, but they don't, so. But you know what? EVs are cheaper to drive. EVs are cleaner to drive. And EVs are what's demanded in the global marketplace. If we're going to compete, forget the first two, which we won't. But these guys say they want to make money. The global marketplace wants EVs. But solar energy and wind energy are cheaper than electricity, period. And now they want to go back on more fuel or more efficient appliance standards. And they make fun of those running. I want to keep the air clean, the land clean, and save money for everybody. Doing good while doing well. So we got to speak up. We got to put the human stories. That's what I need you to do right now. We have people here that have been fired. I'm not going to call them out because the way this government is, one day you're fired, one day you're hired, the next day you're fired again. And we need every single engineer, scientist. Trish, thank you for your leadership of this group. And we need them. We need them to protect us. But we need hands-off EPA, we need all hands on deck, and we need hands-off on NOAA, and we need to protect the Great Lakes, period. It's collective trouble, good trouble. Raising the human stories, keeping people engaged, making your voices heard, speaking up, speaking out, and making sure people understand. We will not let our water, our air, or our ground get dirty again. We want to keep cleaning it up. So let's work together. Let's fight for science and democracy. Let's make our voices heard. And together we'll protect our democracy and we'll protect our environment. Thank you.